Hello, everybody. My name is Anthony Kazazis, and I am the director of the NYC Network Group, as well as the NYC Real Estate Expo. And I would like to thank everybody for coming on board and registering for today's webinar. We are here today with the President of Note Assistance Program, Miss Jasmine Willois, for the last of her three-part webinar series on becoming the bank. Build Your Empire with Mortgage Notes Investing, Part 3. We're here to create independent, competent, integrated, riddled note investors one member at a time. No matter the size of the community member, we all believe the best way to get traction in any field is doing. Our Mortgage Note Assistance Program was created with a small private placement, family office, and accredited investors in mind, making sure vetted inventory is available for those with a proven track record, providing specialized guidance and methodology for dynasties and credibility and confidence to the accredited investor. Ms. Jasmine Willois is the Assistance Program, which offers the proven system for educating entrepreneurs, accredited investors, and family offices on how to buy non-performing mortgages from big banks, hedge funds, and credit unions. Ms. Willois' unique approach is predicted on her more than 2 decades in the field of economics, marketing, real estate, and work as a trader on Wall Street during the dot-com era. As a result, she makes the process of buying distressed mortgages transparent and uncomplicated. She'll discuss with her speakers on what is note investing. Why would someone buy a non-performing real estate note? Why would someone sell a performing real estate note? Common obstacles in getting involved, and how to get involved with the first position mortgage note investing. Her guests today are Tanya Brown from Avenue Harbor Group. Welcome, Tanya. And Belinda Savage from M2 Trust Services. Tanya, let's start off with you. And please just give us a 1-minute, little short bio on yourself.
Sure. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. My name is Tanya Brown. My company is Avenue Harbor Group. I've actually been in real estate investing for on and off for about 10 years. I started off in rentals. I just owned a couple of rentals, but I did it the wrong way. I had a family in there. So of course that didn't end up the way I wanted it to end up. So then about a couple of years ago, I decided to jump back into it, but I didn't want to do the landlording thing. I'm really not a wholesaler, although I tried wholesaling, and I'm not the flipper, but I did want to go into real estate. So I started looking again into some buy and holds, but then it just wasn't exciting. So I kind of leaned over toward tax liens. And as I was researching tax liens, I got into note investing. That's how I kind of met up with Jasmine and learned the tricks of the trade. In my business currently, Avenue Harbor Group, we work with buyers as well as other investors to maximize their returns through the purchasing of performing and non-performing notes.
Very nice. Thank you, Tanya.
Thank you.
Belinda?
Yes. Hi, Anthony.
How are you?
Good. I've known Anthony for, you ready? 16 years.
Wow.
From Queens.
Exactly.
Giving education. So Jasmine and I go back about, crying out loud, it's been a long time. It's over 10 years now. And the beauty of the relationship is that she and I actually evolved out of Wall Street. I preceded her as a bond trader in Wall Street, one of the first 6 women. And so I kind of led the way, but she carried it on. And I have my tribute to her is, wow, what a great legacy she left behind. But the beauty of it is that we have come together to bring education to the American investor, whereby people can take even retirement accounts or personal money, invest into Main Street as opposed to Wall Street, and imagine lending your money out or being part of an equity owner in a note, and you get to keep it tax deferred. So if there's any better way, I mean, it's double digits we've seen accordingly over the since 2008, 2009. And so that's what we love to do. We love to bring this story and the fact that we have investment tools that make it a very rich environment. So I'm very thankful to be here today. Thank you, Anthony, for having us all on.
Thank you, Belinda.
Thank
Hey
you.
guys, when a seasoned stockbroker teaches you about, investing in non-performing notes, you get the highly acclaimed Note Assistance Program. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Jasmine will wow.
Oh, man.
See, thank you very much, Anthony.
Thank you.
Very excited to be here. As always, I miss New York. We're all on lockdown still, and they've extended it for a while, but we will soon be out. And then we'll be doing this in person. So that's one of the most exciting things to me at this point. Miss all of you guys' faces. And yes, today we are here to wrap up our three-part series, and this is the third part. And again, thank you to the guest, Belinda and Tanya, for showing up. We're gonna do a quick disclaimer, and then we're gonna jump right into things without further ado. So thank you guys for coming here. Real quickly, we're gonna talk about a lot of things, maybe even some examples and profits that were made. As you know, I have a few guests here, so just know that we are not liable for the information that we're giving you, right? We're here to educate you and let you know things that have happened to us in the past and give you ideas of how you can structure and move forward with your future. With that said, we promise to make sure that we show you how to be successful in mortgage notes. And a lot of that has to do with these people right here. So again, thank you, Anthony, for having us all here and putting this platform together. New York City Real Estate Expo is so awesome. We participated in it for the last 3 years. We're looking forward to doing it again. And I've highly encouraged Tanya to bring her what's the name of your firm again?
Avenue Harbor.
Avenue Harbor to your platform as well. All right, so let's set some expectations. So like Anthony said, we talked about a lot through this series. So we're going to do a quick recap on what we did, which is where to find and how to catch up with us who are investing in notes. So where to find these notes. We're going to talk a little bit about what generational wealth looks like. And obviously we can't do that without talking to you guys about the money. And so who's the money lady here? That's typically your self-directed IRA person known as Belinda Savage. And so we are actually going to talk about both sides of the coin here, right? So a lot of times when you get to investment webinars, they're telling you how, to do the investing, not talking about the money. That's the other side of the coin that's very important. Today, we're going to talk to you and bring you the money as well as the investment strategy and how to implement it. And so you're not just going to hear from me, you guys have heard me talk before. Yes, I'm an ex-stockbroker, so I've got the juice. But how does someone without a background like that turn this into money? That's what Tanya's here to talk to you guys about. So hopefully you're ready for us. All right, so for a quick recap, what's a non-performing note versus a performing note and why do you buy them? This is a quick imagery that usually helps you guys understand. Just because the house on the right is boarded up and vacant, and it is boarded up and vacant, just because it is, doesn't mean that it's not the performing note. Just as easily as the one on the side with a nice roof and a nice car parked, that could be a non-performing note as well. And so throughout this webinar, we're going to have Tanya, who has a lot of experience, explain to you how and why people trust her with their self-directed IRA funds that they give to people and companies like M2 Trust Services, and get a hold of the real estate game without having to do, as Tanya mentioned in her introduction, all the laboring part of real traditional real estate. So also, we want to talk to you guys about generational wealth versus building an empire. Whatever you guys are out to do, know that mortgage note investing is something that I truly believe can help you, right? And so a lot of you guys out there are working hard to make sure that you leave a legacy for your family, right? I know I have a son myself, 12 years old. I always want to mention my son, Kevin, but I relate to that, okay? And so if you're out there trying to lead by example, you have people that are following you. Mortgage note investing, I believe, truly is a way that you can show results that matter without giving way and alluding to any type of get-rich-quick scam, right? And so that's one of the things where you're going to be putting in a decent amount of work, seeing things through, doing the right thing. Okay, you're going to be given the opportunity on many occasions to do the right thing or not, right? And so leading by example is going to be a huge opportunity for you. And then also building an empire. Some of us out there, we're out there watching all these shows, we're binging Netflix, and we're ready to do it, right? We're ready to build empires. And so whatever you are here to do, this is what we want to show you how that notes can help you get there. So before I get into too much, I really want to take a minute and talk about the money, right? The money is where most of us are having the trouble. And it may not be because you don't have the money, okay? In the banking industry, as far as I'm concerned, we have an infinite amount of assets, and that's one of the beautiful things about it. So I'm going to bring Belinda into this conversation, okay? And so we all know about her, and she said a little bit about me. So before she comes in, let me tell you about how dear she is to my heart. She was here when I started this company about 8 years ago. She encouraged me to do so. And it's not often in an industry like this that you get encouraged to bring a company like this to the forefront. When I say a company like this, we teach you to lead from integrity and humanity. That's what we do here first. And so I would love to make sure that Tanya speaks of that when she talks about the profits that she's making, right? Because in the end, these are profits that are unheard of to the average person. And that's why they're back end reserved for the banks, right? And so Belinda is going to help us understand why someone would want to invest, right? Their hard-earned retirement money that they rolled over to her into our assets, and how she can help people like Tanya access this money. But Belinda, like you said, she's a whirlwind, smart as can be, and she helps us get out of our troubles, right? The confidence that she brings to this program is beyond belief. Belinda, jump on in here. How are you doing?
All right. So here's what it comes down to.
Yeah, tell us.
I gotta let the listeners know one thing. Not that I just know about the alternative asset marketplace, but the fact is that I bring 20 years of compliance, operations, and litigation experience. So I've actually been to court 60 times and prevailed.
That's the confidence piece I'm speaking to. That's why when we move forward with things, we know we have people we can call on, right, Tanya, that can give us some solid answers and not going to bluff us over. So that's what this whole East Coast thing is about. We're going to give it to you straight. So no, great point, Belinda. But again, tell us, how is it? Because you said you were just talking to Tanya, and Tanya, you could take yourself off mute. Everyone knows who you are as well. Let's open this floor up. But how is it that you two find yourself just talking offline, right? You join the program, you start buying notes. What brings you two together so people can see an example of what you guys are doing on the sidelines?
Oh, Belinda, did you
Go
want
ahead, Tanya.
Okay, well, Belinda has been a speaker on many of your shows, your podcast, as well as some of your other meetings. I first met Belinda at one of your note labs in New York. And she came and she was so straight shooting from the hip. It's like, I know she knows what she's talking about. And then she just, and she just laid everything out on the line. And I said, I've got to talk with this woman, because if she knows where this money is and she's talking in the trillions of dollars, let's find out where we can get it and how we can work this. And so I recently reached out to her just to get some information on the business trust and just to kind of find out more information. I currently do have a solo 401k as well as an SDI IRA that I work with, but I just wanted to get some more information, but just the resources you provided and seeing her out there on a whole lot of the events that you have available is where I met her, and so I decided to reach out.
So let's talk about that a little bit. You said the business trust. Belinda, how are people using business trust, right? Because she's buying notes, right? And she's calling you about a business trust. And so I imagine that is some sort of either security, shelter. Tell us what that's about.
Okay, so this business structure actually got resurrected 10 years ago through a number of very well-known people, Dyke Spotiford and Peter Fortunata, down in, along with some attorneys down in Atlanta, Georgia. And this dates back to the 1800s, and it's different than a family trust in that you're not placing assets inside of it, but it is a transactional trust where the note investor gets to perform certain things. In other words, once you put the IRA money inside of that trust, you have checkbook control. Get this. You have total checkbook control, but you also have anonymity, because the trust is going to be named after something that you care about, maybe a movie or a place you like to go visit. But the point of it is, the beauty of it is, first of all, it is not seen ever recorded on the Department of Corporations or any Secretary of State website. It is totally anonymous. So when you're going to bid on a group of notes and you're working with people in the outside, in this marketplace, great to have something. In other words, you have something kind of hiding you. Are you hiding from compliance? No. We just want you to understand it's a tool. Just like the rich use trusts in a different capacities, that's what we want to show the American investor. How do you get this tool? What do you do with it? And obviously implement it into your investment goals. So that's what the beauty of it is.
Here's one of the key things that a lot of you guys that you mentioned was checkbook control, right? So a lot of us want to know what is checkbook control and what's the difference of that, right? And so, Tanya, if you don't mind speaking to that, because really the importance when you're doing notes is about funding. Right. And so once you find something that you like and you want to buy it, it's so important that you're with a firm like M2 Trust Services or someone that understands that you need to fund right away. So the alternative to having someone like M2 Trust there is, I believe, that checkbook control, right? And so is that what you're looking for in looking into this, Tanya? What's really attracting you to this business trust?
Oh, definitely. And I do have checkbook control over my solo 401k, but I don't have it over my SDIRA. And then having to go through the trustee, it can take, they say 24 to 48 hours, but what they mean is 24 to 48 days. But it can take, it usually will take, it won't take that long.
Right.
It will take a little bit longer than that 24 to 48 hours. So having checkbook control just allows you to write it off or just transfer the money over quickly. So that's what I like about it. I have full control. I don't have to wait on someone else to prove to them that what I'm purchasing is within lines and the guidelines of that IRA.
Right. And that is huge for me because when did you buy your first note? Let's walk everyone through that.
I think it was November or December of 2019.
So 2019. So within a year's window. And at this point, you're talking to someone who has the confidence not only be on the webinar, but like she just said, I don't need anyone in between me and these deals that I'm trying to close. So that's what's exciting to me about the growth and that we're having here. So let's talk about your growth, right, and how you're utilizing it, right? Because I believe you're JVing with people, right? And that means you're using other people's money to buy these notes. So how are you expanding your business? And let everybody know what's possible.
Correct. I've just been talking about what I do. And honestly, when people ask me, how do you get other people's money? And it's not always comfortable, but it's really putting yourself out there and telling people what it is that you do. And that's what I started doing. I made it a goal for myself last year before COVID hit. I made it a goal for myself to start attending meetups and RIAs and anywhere I go just to talk about notes. And I would just go up to the front of the room when they offered the chance for you to, offer a deal, whether I had a deal or not. I would just go up there and say, my name is Tanya Brown, give my company name and say, I'm a note investor and I'm looking for a capital JV partners who are looking to make 10 to 12% return on their investment. That was all. And usually I would pass out a lot of cards and I'd get a lot of phone calls because people want to know, what is note investing? What is it? What is it? And, you're not getting the person right then and there. They're not going to throw you $10,000, $20,000 right then and there. But it starts the relationship and it starts the conversation and you start building and building and building. And then you have to follow up and keep in contact with them. And essentially, but it's not always comfortable because I would sit out in my car and I would rehearse those 3 points in my head. This is what you go up there and this is what you say. So you don't go rambling on and people know what you're talking about, and people aren't always comfortable getting up and getting out and putting themselves out there and making themselves a little vulnerable. But ultimately, that's what you need to do, even if it's just sitting next to somebody at the local group and introducing yourself and saying, hey, how are you? I'm a note investor. And then the conversation starts and you start growing and growing and growing around the entire room. So really it's networking and talking and telling people what you do.
And what's the irony about what you said and the truth about it is those networking events are so helpful. I mean, this is where I met Belinda. I got to remember, like, now that you say that, it was like 10, 11 years ago. And we see her trying to truck some big thing up the stairs and my guy runs to help her. Next thing, we were friends forever. Am I telling the truth?
Yes.
So,
and I might interject here. Let's get something straight with the other people's money. There's been a huge shift in this country from banks lending money to private. It is now 70% of all loans in America are coming in the private sector. And it shifted, you ready, from 7 trillion 14 years ago to $64 trillion in alternative assets. That's private lending, real estate, startups, precious metals. I think that this constitutes a whole new marketplace to open up to people. They're thinking about, if I own your mortgage inside my IRA, I'm helping you, I'm helping a community. It's a different mindset.
So there might be people out there in the audience who have opportunities to roll money over. So let's talk about that, Belinda, because really someone might have been saying, okay, great. But again, where do I find the money to even get started? So first and foremost, I want to let you know that we, as Anthony mentioned, one of the things we want to talk about, how does this happen in real life, right? So I actually put a little video together for you guys to see as well, but we want to talk about how does this work in real life? And that's really what we're here to discuss. And so when we talk about the accessing money, right? What does it look like someone that rolls over? Someone that has no job, how do they roll over money to you? How does someone get money, find money with themselves? A lot of people think they don't have money, then we end up finding money for them, right?
Right. Got to have a conversation. And here's the way I look at it. I ask all investors today, especially if you're doing real estate deals or note investing, do you want to go to a bank and borrow the money, or would you rather have a plain conversation with either colleagues, friends, and family? Because a lot of times their money is actually sitting in mutual funds, or perhaps it's sitting even in a savings account over at the bank earning nothing. And the way I look at it is we're at the end of a huge era, of the bull market where the Dow Jones was at 30,000. Why not take that money away from Wall Street and place it into alternatives like a note or real estate? I mean, it makes such perfect sense to find value somewhere else. So it's literally just having this conversation. And what I've offered to let you know, Jasmine, is that I have Zoom calls directly with the investor. So if they have a friend or if they have a family member that needs to know about this, let's get together, have the education first, with the conversation to show them how simple it is, and that this is the way to build family wealth with tax deferred and tax exempt funds. So you literally get it transferred over once you establish an account. You establish an account in 24 hours with me in a secured portal. And then the money gets transferred over from Fidelity or Vanguard or T. Rowe Price or Schwab. And once it comes over, that's a custodian to custodian transfer, no taxable event. Then we actually deploy the money when that note comes forth, or perhaps you or Tanya have a note to sell to them. It's that simple.
So a lot of these people are finding that they have old jobs that they left, right? 4 or 5 years ago, forgot about it. So if that's you out there, you may have a 10, 50, doesn't have to be a lot, $20,000 to get started. So that's what was wonderful about this. When I met Belinda, I realized that people were able to not only join the program to get the proper training, right? Which also gave them the inventory. So we're going to tell you how this really works, and I have time to speak to that. But a lot of people were able to find an old self-directed IRA account, an old 401k or something, roll it over, and now they had money to not only pay for the education, right, the corporate training, but then find or JV with someone on their first note, all within that money that they thought they didn't have. And so, Tanya, really, let's talk about what you're doing. It sounds like you're helping people find money, right? that they didn't know they had, and then you're bringing inventory to them, right? And so, one of the beautiful things about you being part of this community is that you're getting inventory on a monthly basis, right? So, how does that work? Now that we found the money with Belinda, and now we ran into you, tell people how you're getting this inventory so they can get a peek behind the scenes and see how we're making that connection.
Oh, I get it from you. I get a lot of inventory straight from the Note Assistance Program. And every month you do send out tapes. I do also source some of my own inventory outside of it. But because of the program, I've actually been able to know the good stuff from the trash. And so through that, I just, sift through the tapes. I go through everything, make my budget sheets up. And if the deal matches what my partner is looking for, what the JV partner is looking for, because everybody has different criteria, which is why I do go through and I vet all of my partners or all of my investors to make sure I know what it is they're looking for, if they're a good fit, if they're not a good fit, because there are some people that I have said no to. I don't want to do business with you. I haven't said it that way, but I'm not going to do business with them because they just seem like it would be more of a headache to deal with them versus, getting into a business just because they have money. And so I'd rather not. And so I vet my investors. And so when tapes come out, I run it through the budget sheet, make sure it fits their criteria and present it to them. And if they're ready to go, then we just put in offers.
I'm just going to jump in real quick. Stanley White just wanted to, say, great webinar, priceless. He's asking you, Belinda, about a 457.
Okay. So it does not matter what type of retirement account you have had in the past. It could be any 403B, a 457, a 401k, a pension plan. All retirement accounts can be self-directed, and he would just need to contact me and we would have that discussion. So I think, are we going to give out contact info at the end, Jasmine?
Oh, 100%.
Oh, okay. So he would do that and we would have that conversation.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Belinda.
Great question, Stan, another member of our community. So one of the things that we're doing is we're out there creating satellites, right? So Tanya came here to get the basic education to make sure she felt comfortable to source her own notes, right? So that's the first thing. After that, she has consistent amount of inventory, so she keeps up her deal flow. And so how's the deal flow with when someone joins you and says, hey, I want to JV with you? Are you able to come to them consistently with inventory?
Yes, and in fact, that's actually one of my goals this year. I said each and every JV partner that I have, I plan on sending them a minimum of 2 deals every month. Whether they accept them or not, at least I'm getting it before them consistently. So it is helpful to get things month after month and sometimes week after week, just to be able to present those deals to them.
Yeah, because basically you're building a business, right? Whether it's around legacy, so a family office, or whether it's around you doing a PPM, a private placement, right?
Correct.
What we want you guys to understand is that this is a product that you want to treat like a business, not a hobby. Regardless of what you're doing with the funds, if you're using it to support a hobby, you definitely want to work with the proper people to keep you in compliance and access the funds the proper way, like Belinda. And I found that to be an advantageous as I grow my business. What about you guys?
To me, it's all about integrity and expertise and the fact that you have accessibility to those professionals that are out there. So I'm constantly building every hour of the day, I'm meeting somebody or being introduced to someone. And it's vital because if I can't provide, like for instance, during COVID, if I can't provide the American investor with the information that they could actually take up to $100,000 last year out of their current 401k or 403b, they're missing an opportunity because then they'd get stuck in the market instead of pulling it out and going over to where we are.
Right.
And so that was an opportunity. So that's what we're talking about. Each and every week, there might be a change of some sort. We want to keep our people apprised. So if they're watching us, whether it's a webinar or they're giving us a call or they're in touch with an attorney or CPA that I'm working with across the country, that to me is so essential. It's invaluable. It's got so much value to it, to the investor themselves.
Jasmine, maybe
yes.
you could touch on this real quick.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a 50-50 thing. It sounds like you're buying notes and reselling them to other investors. Is this correct?
Yeah. Well, in many different ways. I was going to transition to that, right? So talk about the entire process. So first, how do we get the money, right? A lot of people say we need to get money to invest. So Belinda showed us how to find it. JV opportunities. Tanya talked about how to approach that. And so, yeah. So what are people looking at buying? And so we're talking about these non-performing and performing notes, right? And so many times these homes look like the abandoned ones. Sometimes they look very, very nice. They may be occupied or not. So the product is very unique. And maybe I'd love to have Tanya speak to what about the product that you're looking for. Do you have a unique kind of note that you're looking for? Are you going strictly for performing now? Has things changed since you started? Because really, guys, we have an array of product. I have some notes in California right now, Washington, Oregon. I have one with 40 acres. I have another one, 17 acres. And so if you're looking for farmland, we've got it. If you're looking for commercial property, we just got a movie theater. Movie theaters are not able to make a lot of their mortgage payments, surprisingly enough. So those mortgages are coming due. So depending upon where you are and what your strategy is, right, and how long your timeline is, there's something for everyone. And for me, that's why I feel this product is really important that it belongs in the hands of people like Tanya. It's changed my life, right? And in a short period of time, I can almost speak to the fact without even doing it, that Tanya can say that, hey, I couldn't imagine where I am every year. Every year that goes by, I'm like, notes, right?
Yeah, it moved fast from 2019 to today. It moved very fast. And at one point it was the goal that I set. And when I was reaching it, I was like, oh, it's a little bit too fast. It's like it came too fast, and you weren't expecting it. But when you set that vision in place and you set the goals to reach it, then when it starts moving, don't be surprised, because it happens, and it can happen for anyone. But going back to the type of notes you had mentioned, right now I'm doing just residential, but I do a across the board, performing, non-performing, contract for deeds, mortgages, lease options. I've done them all, and I just like them all. And like you said, no note is the same. It's never boring, because you're dealing really with people. There's people behind that paper. And when you're dealing with those people behind the paper, everybody has a story and everybody has a situation. And sometimes the situation is that they're just paying their mortgage. And sometimes it's COVID hit. And sometimes it's, I lost my job, I fell off the roof, or something or another. But it's never boring. It's always something different that you can work out. So that's what I enjoy about it, because I'm one of those people that get bored easily. You know, after 2 or 3 years of doing the same thing over and over again, I'm like, it's time to move on, you know, but
Right.
this it's not boring. I mean, because it's always something happening. It's always somebody new to meet. It's always a new situation coming up. It's always something to handle.
Do you mind telling us a little bit about your portfolio, just as far as what states they're in? And what you purchased in?
Sure. I've been in Ohio. I'm in Ohio, North Carolina, Illinois, South Dakota, Nebraska, and a couple of other places.
So you have no limits, it sounds like.
No, I have no limits. None at all.
No geographical limits.
No geographical limits, none at all. Although sometimes those northeastern states that are hard to get in out of in the foreclosure process, I'm kind of skeptical, but now I'm no longer, I'm like, yeah, let's go. We can wait it out now.
Let's go. I love it.
Hey, Jasmine, for a beginner, what's the starting out? What's the average starting investment amount for a beginner if someone wants to jump into this?
Yes, so with our program, we actually have what we call a path of education. So I'll actually take a moment and show that to you guys. I put a slide together for you to see about it, but we put together something that will make it easier for you guys to follow a flow that has worked for, you know, the people that have been here and successful. So I think also this will be something that Tanya can speak to as well. Let me go ahead and share my screen, and then I'll show you about the path of education. The first thing we have, though, is a free webinar. Okay. And so, that's a webinar podcast. So we do a podcast called Naked Notes Podcast, and it comes out every Tuesday. We just had a new episode come out this last yesterday, I guess. Tuesday was yesterday, right? So as I get to it, excuse me. So this is what we call our path of education. We have a free podcast, Naked Notes. It's just as it says, it's a bare naked truth about notes. You've got me, Natasha Navarro, who's the vice president of our training department. We're actually bringing on a new member, and this is what we do. We build from within, okay? So we're bringing a new member. Her name is Nadine. She lives in Australia, believe it or not, but she's on there speaking with us. And you guys get to hear our weekly, I should say, journey, right? Recap of what we're doing and how we're growing and grow with us. So that's the first step as far as how can I get involved and start learning without spending any money? Boom, we've got that for you. Check out the podcast. It's also, you can find it on our YouTube channel. The second thing we have is a 2-day training workshop, and we actually have one coming up at the end of this month, January 30th and 31st. Tanya, you said you went to the one in New York, right?
Correct, yes.
Right. So she'll give you a few seconds on what that's about. But the 2-day training class is really where we go through our entire proprietary system in 2 days, kind of the water hose approach. But with that said, that's where you get to be in person and meet people. So to me, one of the most valuable portions of it is that getting and doing the training. So we can't do that right now. We're doing it on Zoom. It's been highly effective so far, and we're sending out our swag bags this week to make sure you guys get all the goodies still. But that 2-day workshop has been one of the pinnacle ways for people to get started. So the cost behind it is right now online, $650 for you to get started. And you get to spend 2 days with myself, Natasha. Belinda's going to be there. Tanya, are you available this weekend or that weekend, or are you going to be around?
Yes, I can.
Well, if she's available for it, she's attended one already. But the training workshop, that's January 30th and 31st, $650 for one. If you're bringing a partner, we're going to get you a discount, and you'll find online it's $1,100 for two. Because accountability is important, and we want you to succeed. Short of that, we have an online training platform. You can sign up for that, where you don't have to engage with anyone. You can watch our videos that will explain the proprietary process. Once you get the process down pat and you are exposed to it, whether it's through the training workshop or the online platform, right? Those two that we've talked to, you will now begin to get access to the inventory. That's when things get good. So we want to make sure that you at least understand what you're dealing with. Okay, so once we know that you've gone from cradle to grave, right, in our system, we're going to start sending you the inventory. And in those two options, you're going to get it for 3 to 6 months without any additional charge, because we want you to see if you're ready to buy. Now, should you need more help getting across the line, the thing that we're most famous for is our hands-on training program. And that's what Tanya Brown joined. That's what Belinda's here to support, and she's always here to make sure that people get through the right way, because we walk you through that first note. That program costs $7,000 to join, okay? And so you are able to, again, bring in one partner to train with, and that's going to get you a hand-holding of me and my executive team through one note, okay? And so I really like to take a moment and ask Tanya to find out about the value in any of these things that you attended, because in my opinion, having the resources right now is what we're talking about. It's not so much just to get the note, right? Tanya talked about how she was able to build the confidence to let people know that they can roll the money. She used the resources that she met, Belinda. Okay, when it came down to actually getting the note, I'm sure she'll tell you that she used some of the resources from within the community, right? And so really, it's the entire program, and we call it the NAP Nation, that helps us get across and so quickly and meet our goals, if that's correct. Wouldn't you say, Tanya?
Yes, I would agree. It is the actual community that is the benefit. I mean, yes, the training was helpful and the labs are extremely helpful also, but the network is just kind of this whole accountability and constantly being educated and always learning and training. And it's kind of not like I took your course and now you're off on your own. If you just do what I tell you to do, then you'll be successful. It's no, we're telling you how to do this and be successful, but we're constantly providing you with information and more resources so that you can build and become whatever it is that you're aiming for, whether it's your business or if you just want to own a few notes, whatever it is, the resources are there to help.
Okay. Hey, and guys, keep in mind that by all means, we will take every email, especially everybody that, registered, and we'll be sending all the emails over to Jasmine. So if you have any other questions regarding the amount or what sizes, she will definitely respond back to you right away with the copy of this video and the other videos as well. One of the questions was, I'm an accredited investor. What are the average sizes of these notes?
It's actually going to speak to that. So I was going to say, just to get really hard hitting to the numbers, the notes vary, right, in prices. So let me just see. We've sold notes as low as $4,000, and just recently, before the year is over, on the 30th of December, closed on a $200,000 note in Newark, New Jersey. Okay, so when we talk about something in an area like Newark, New Jersey, you're buying in Newark? Yes, I am, for the right price. Okay, Newark's growing. Okay, a lot of people fleeing across the bridge, just like in San Francisco, they're going to New Jersey. So we're doing that research and we're teaching you how to get the note at the right price, and that is really what's most important. But yeah, when you talk about what you need to get started as a whole, Tanya, what did you spend for your first note, like in whole together? You spent the money in the program. What was your total outlay? Do you remember?
The money in the program, because I spent $9,000 on my first note, and then I did buy the actual program. So I was in there for it, and it's a performing note, and it's still performing. And then I had my second, that's what I say, it's not the sexy note because it's performing but not performing, but you all said, well, those are the sexy notes.
I mean, you might have made your money back on that by now. You keep telling the story.
Then my second note, I actually paid 18. I paid about 21,000, went all in with everything. And that's the note that I held for about 6 months and didn't receive one payment. It was performing and it was actually paying up until I purchased it. After I purchased it, they stopped paying. And then 6 months after that, they came to the table and said, we just want to pay it off. And then they came to the table and paid it off. So that 18,000 ended up being 33,000 return. And so within 6 months, it was about 150% annualized return.
I think that got you hooked, huh? That'll get you coming back from there.
Yeah.
And that was in Louisiana, if I remember correctly. So
correct. Yes.
You are in Maryland, and
yeah,
I was going to say, you're in Maryland, and she had the guts to go ahead through the confidence of the program, of course. She just do it willy-nilly. Okay, she made sure she was surrounded by the right team to give her the confidence to buy something in Louisiana and then pull off probably one of the best returns that she's going to be talking about for her entire life. I mean, I dare you to beat it. Okay, there you go.
I'm gonna try.
I know you will.
Hey, Jasmine, I was just wondering, well, you have a nice compliment here from Lorraine. NAP Nation Network is our net worth. So helpful. So that's nice. Very nice.
Thank you. Yes.
Jasmine, do you also pool monies together? If I want to come in with 20 and Tanya comes in with 15, we get a 35. Can you pool a lot of notes together?
Yeah, no, so we don't do that here. So we don't act as security or anything like that. We don't do that. But if you want to joint venture with another person in the community, that happens all day, every day.
All the time.
Yeah, but that's why we have the community. We're going to release you into a community of people who've taken the same program, who know the same opportunity and what it looks like. And so if you find a note on this tape, right, and people doing that, Tanya did this the other day. I mean, she found a note and she's like, I may not be liquid enough in time to take the whole thing down. Anyone else want to JV with me? Is that what happened? And you found a partner?
I did, yeah. And it happened almost immediately and jumped right into it. That was the one in North Carolina.
Okay, I thought it was a Georgia one. So, I mean, all over the place. So 100%. She's like that one too. So there's a lot of money within our community as well. And so that's why I feel that we are separating ourselves from the rest, because not only are we bringing the inventory, which that's just mind blowing within itself, right? Like she said, a lot of people will give you a program, drop you off and say, good luck. But we're going to hang out with you even afterwards, right? And then we're going to have a community that's there that's going to continue to want to grow with you, right? And exceed whatever you thought you were going to do. Some people are now starting their own PPMs within the first year within the program, right? And so to be a part of that is really why we're here, and what Belinda is here to help us facilitate, because after they get that up, they're like, where are we going to find the money? Well, you start hanging out with Belinda, right? Some of these events she's going to, she's hanging out with Nick Tang out in New Jersey. She's got us out here in California. So the money is looking for these assets. When she says that there's trillions of dollars on the sidelines that are rolling into private funds, well, what do you think the private funds want to do with that? Any idea? You gonna say something, Belinda?
Yeah, it's all about the individual investor saying, hey, I want to get as much as a hedge fund or a private equity guy. How can I do this? Well, guess what? Here is the opportunity. It's right at your doorstep. And so that's one of the reasons why I became so passionate about taking this investment tool, a self-directed IRA, and saying to America, wait a second, I have the answer for you. Something you never thought, that the law allowed you for the last 50 years to take your retirement accounts, tax deferred or tax exempt, and literally push them into this arena, this marketplace, where returns, I mean, I see them starting at 7% on a low basis of like $5,000. You know, you can put it in with other people like a rehabber, but nicer to have it in a note where obviously ROI is much higher. And by the way, folks, it's only $27 trillion in tax deferred accounts right now.
So there's enough.
That's
if you come from a place of abundance like we do here in this community, you realize there's enough inventory. The banks are writing notes like nobody's business. They're refinancing all what has driven the market right now as far as the mortgage market are refinances, right? And so that's just someone creating a new note for us. So the inventory is being created forever. The money's still being created, right? And let's talk about these stimuluses right now. People are like, oh my goodness, you're in a quarantine, right? How in the middle of a pandemic, Jasmine, you're still telling me you're buying non-performing notes? Tanya, are we still buying non-performing notes in the middle of a pandemic?
Yes, yes, we are.
And so why are we doing this? You know, if we have a few minutes, because we just think about this, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting stimulus checks, right? What are people doing stimulus checks right now? Trying to save their home. So I can honestly tell you, we bought a bunch of non-performing notes around March. Stimulus checks come in, now they're performing because they took their money and they paid it to us. And I would gladly take it because finally, as I make a joke here, finally, it's our turn to get something from the government, right? So they put out a stimulus check. We're going to get it round robin through our borrowers and help them stay in their home so they can get a peace of mind. And I really think that's what's important when you think about it, because we are now being just an intricate part of the calm, okay, in this cycle of just madness. People are worrying about getting evicted. When people came to our community and said, we have reinstatement money, right? We took it and we left them in their homes.
And that's really the testimony, is that we're not there to take people's homes. It's all about keeping people in their homes and keeping those communities very healthy, generating a wonderful place to live. I mean, we have families. Why, we wouldn't want that to happen to us. So I think there's also a story, even with self-directed. I actually have Doctors Without Borders who get to use their money after 59 and a half, they get to go abroad, use some of that money to support them while they're doing surgeries abroad. And I have people who are Navajo tribesmen, who actually use it to dig wells on the reservations so that they can have water and plumbing inside their housing. There's so many great news stories I can't begin to tell you. So it's not just one-sided of making money, it's also giving back. And I think that's very essential to the way you and I operate and have for years. And the same with Anthony. And now Tanya being a part of this. I mean, it's just a good story.
Definitely good feeling. We're going to add something, Tanya?
Yeah, I agree. Going back to what you said about keeping people in their homes, it is what we aim to do. And that's always the first thing I aim to do when going in. But also you have the luxury of having some flexibility to do that. Whereas sometimes the big banks, they don't have that flexibility. So you can have that heart and give people that second, third, and sometimes fourth chance before you say, okay, that's enough. And then sometimes to help them out. But yes, and giving back is always, it's always just part of the entire business strategy. I mean, it doesn't make sense to be riding on top and not being able to give back to your community and give back to those who need. So that's always just a benefit of being able to not just make money, but make the money and use it to benefit others.
Right. No, that's awesome. Very proud of the community. Do we have another question there, Anthony? I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, actually, I was throughout the process here, I was asking them, let me ask you something. Okay, you pay 7,000, you help them get their first note. Thereafter, what else is involved? I mean, I realize your classes, your courses, but to get the next note, the second, the third, or fourth, is there some type of a support system where you're going to help them?
Yeah, you're looking at it right here. I mean, this is what
That's
I
it.
love.
Okay.
Tanya
So
and
the
many people.
team will give everybody notices that these notes are available, and this is actually first come, first serve, and they jump into it. Is that how it is, or
Yeah, so what happens is if you're part of the NAP Nation community, the hands-on,
Nap
you're going to
Nation?
get the inventory on a monthly basis, right? You buy your first note. That's what we commit to walk through you with for that $7,000 price tag. Once you get through that, you're out in the community as an official NAP Nation member. You got a graduation. You're going to get a graduation letter from us. But now you are going to be out there amongst Tanya, amongst Belinda, amongst Alicia, amongst Stanley, all these people,
Correct.
Lorraine, that are out there. They have a lot of satellite meetings.
Yeah.
Lorraine Militant hosts a NAP Nation New York City meeting for people. So there's a lot of support out there, like she said, to help everyone go. Because here's what I can tell you. We buy collectively. Although I don't pool funds, if a tape comes in, just like this last one, there were 8 assets on it. They want me to take down the entire tape. There was Louisiana, Indiana, Ohio, Vermont, okay? Places on there that most people don't look at. Our community looked at it, and one person took down each note, and collectively, I'm pooling it and sending the seller one lump sum, and we're going to get all the inventory together. And that's going to afford us better pricing, right? And it's going to give us the advantage where that seller is going to want to come back to us again. So we're working together in so many ways to make sure that all of us benefit from it. And so that's the difference, right? Our community knows that it's helpful to help that other person get their first note, because maybe that'll help us take down a tape together, right? Or maybe that'll make us look better with another seller. So realistically, it is the community that you want to become a part of. The inventory is there. That's important. But like Tanya said, we want you to be independent. And we're giving you skills that you can go out and buy notes from anyone from, right? And so she's buying notes from other sellers. That's what this is about. And she's building other relationships. That's what this is about.
Great. So it's basically the NAP Nation, because many people have said that they went to the banks directly. They had no success whatsoever to try to get these notes. So by going through you, Jasmine, they have all this support. And is there a cost for uploaded information on all these notes, or is it just involved with this community? Is it just you're going to get this information from Melinda and Tanya and everybody else that because
I'd love to charge, have access to all the brains I have, but that goes against the grain of everything I do. So outside of the entry fee to the events, yes, Belinda's going to come in, although for the amount of information she lays down, it should definitely be an upsell when she comes in. We should have everyone reach in their pockets, but no additional. We pride ourselves on not upselling, right? And so both Belinda and Tanya have been around enough to tell us that we're upfront with where the costs are, even to the point where we don't have a monthly fee for the tape. It's just part of your membership right now. But I can tell you up front, probably after the quarantine and maybe in a year or so, we will start charging monthly for it, right? Some people have been part of this community for 1, 2, 3 years. And so they're getting the tape continuously. That is a service that is just invaluable. And so as we grow, things change and companies go as well, but we are always upfront with it. And we're partnering with people across the nation, like Belinda, like Tanya, Minnesota. I mean, Belinda and I, when things are up and running, we're in Minnesota sometimes speaking, right? You miss those days.
Amen. A lot of different places, Spokane, you name it.
No matter where you are, you can invest in notes.
Every
and that's
coast. Amen.
Yeah, I was going to say that no matter where you are, you can invest in notes. And the beautiful thing is that in the middle of this pandemic, my community, we're still out there investing. It doesn't matter whether they have a curfew where everyone can't go out at night. So then you can't place up bandit signs anymore without getting arrested. We don't have to worry about that. Tanya's laughing. You know what I mean, right?
Listen,
Yeah.
even military guys who are abroad have actually signed up with self-directed IRAs, and they're investing. Listen, with the internet and telephones, they're on it. You know, they want to be part of this community. So I think that's what it's all about. Americans are getting investing back in America. What better way to literally change the landscape of housing and people having the ability to afford to live in a good place? I think it just tells the wonderful story of what we're all about. I mean, I'm not trying to pat ourselves on the back. It just makes sense. That's all.
It makes sense.
Now, this is maybe a silly question, but I just want to make sure I ask this again. You're buying notes. Did you also mention that you might be also lending money to individuals that need help? No, just the purchases of notes.
So the beautiful thing about what we do is we operate in the secondary mortgage market, okay? And so there are oftentimes, many of our clients are private money lenders who come over to the dark side, as I like to say. They come and mess with us because there's a lot of risk in originating a loan. And that's why I fell in love with this market, okay? When I enter this, when Tanya enters and we buy a note in the secondary market, all that risk is gone. We've taken another risk, right? But as far as whether the borrower is telling the truth or not, or they're going to make payments or not, we know this already. We've seen whether they've made payments the last year and a half or not, okay? When you are originating with someone, everyone puts on their best, Sunday best, and sits down at the table, and the banker says, I promise I'm going to be a good steward bank to you. I'm not going to, do all the bad predatory lending stuff. And then the borrower's like, and I'm going to make a payment to you every single month on time, just like clockwork. And they all walk off, and then it hits the fan when none of that comes true. We walk in after everyone's shown their true colors, and then we can truly assess the situation. And that's why, to me, for at least people with my personality, we benefit in this because we can assess everything. It's all laid out there. There's no promises to be told. You've either made payments the last 12 months or you haven't. I mean, Tanya, when you look at the data you have access to, how does it bring confidence to you closing? And what are you looking for? Just to give them an idea. Are you looking at servicing notes? Are you asking to find out the pay history?
I do. I ask for just the regular collateral files when I'm looking for it in the information, but I'm just looking for the numbers that make sense. And once I get that information, I get the back information. Yes, I do look for the pay history. I do make sure that titles and everything is in place. And I do pull titles, and I just make sure that I'm protecting myself and doing my due diligence so that I know the investment I'm going into is a good investment.
She's checking on things that are already in place. The guy originating is putting that in place, right? So that's one of the things. So we get to look at it and say, we don't necessarily like the way that was put in place, so we're going to pass on that. Or this one, this was put in place well, or this borrower is showing me someone I want to work with. So that, I think, is what brings comfort to us. But there's something to be said about originating. But what I can tell you is that with originating, you are often finding a place to go and redeploy your money, right? So those hard money loans want to lend for 6 or 8 months. Then every 6 or 8 months, they're trying to find another flipper to convince them that they're going to find the right house and get in and out of this deal. And so what we love about this is that most of the risk is already caked in and it's laying there for us to look at. And we're saying, do we want to take this risk head on or not? And if we say no, then we pass and go find someone with a little bit less risk or a little different risk. So loss mitigation is what we do here. And in that, we're helping people stay in their homes. And that's what's comforting because the profit margins are definitely, making it worth our while.
Great. And in this business, you don't need a license like a banker. A banker needs a license to lend. In your business of buying and purchasing notes, you don't need a license for that, right?
Well, let's talk about this. There are certain states where they're going to require a license if you're buying multiple notes.
Multiple. And how many do you need to get a license?
Typically, if you're buying 5 or more a year, you're going to get on their radar, but that's not in, I wouldn't necessarily use that at, 3 or so, what an attorney would tell you. Here's the thing. If you decide you like Illinois and you're going to start buying in there a lot, then you might want to see if you can get licensed there. Not all states require it. Georgia does. That's something that's new. Illinois now is suggesting you get one. If there's ever a suggestion, once you start making money, go ahead and get licensed, especially if you think you're going to buy more notes in that area. License costs are really inexpensive, and it's worthwhile. This is a place where you want to be compliant. And here's why. I have yet to find a place I can be so blessed where I just heard Tanya say with a straight face, I'm going to try to get better return than the one I just got. Okay? She
150%.
told us she got a triple-digit return and then said to us, but I'm going to try to do better than that next time. And so,
Right.
She's honest.
but to have the gumption and the confidence and be like, and to think that she even can. Most people are like, woo! And that'll never happen again, right? And so
I'll be back when it happens.
But this is this is why I feel blessed. So if they ask me to do something for compliance, once you get in, we teach you guys just to get it done. And so I don't know if you can speak to that, Tanya. Are you running into, as you get bigger, you're finding out there are more things you can do. We're here to get you your first step, and then tell them about the journey afterward. It gets exciting, as you said.
It does. It gets exciting, and you learn more and more and more. And there are some places where, you know, now you have to register your company and then learn. Well, you naturally have to do the recording of everything. And then you just move on to other things. Like now I have a lease option that the borrower wants to purchase. So I want to get him into a mortgage. So now I'm working with Call the Underwriter to get him into the mortgage. He actually just qualified this week, and I got the approval
Nice.
to move forward. Yeah. And so, I mean, there are different things and different avenues that you're moving through, and you learn different things. Like I said, it's never boring.
She's originating a loan right there. So that even to speak to what you're saying, she bought a note or closed on it, I imagine, or what have you. And now she's just going to originate a new one, but she's using one of our resources. And that's what's genius. Tanya's not trying to sit down and take a seller finance course or how to do it. She's connected with our Belinda Savage of the underwriting world, right? And he's doing everything, getting back to her, saying they're approved. So it's about streamlining things.
And Jasmine, what is the percentage that you're seeing? Is it out of $100,000 note, whether it's performing or non-performing? Are you seeing like a discount of more than 50%, or is it, what ranges are you usually seeing it, and when do you buy it? At what percentage of a discount? Like Tanya, maybe you could tell us one of your examples.
Yeah,
What was your last performing note? What was it at the bank, and what did you get it for?
My last performing note, I think I paid, hold on one second.
Now, this is a performing, not a non-performing. I want you to tell me a non-performing note and a performing note.
Okay, well, I'll start with my non-performing note, which I just purchased in Bastrap,
Okay.
Louisiana.
Okay.
And I purchased it for $12,000.
And what was it? Yep.
It was a single family home. It was non-performing, and I paid it at 65 cents. I originally had asked for 50 cents on the dollar. They came back with an offer for 85. And I said, you're crazy. And I said, I'll go counter at 65, but I won't go any higher than that, because the numbers still worked really, really well. And it was still giving me, I believe it was a 30% return. But when I did everything, if it was going to be performing or reperforming, it was going to give me that type of a return. But when I got the actual note, and I started reading I got the collateral file, started reading the servicer notes. This guy wants to keep his house. It was almost like reading a soap opera. It was about 20 pages of servicing notes. And they were just calling. And he was just like, I hurt myself. I couldn't do this. Yes, I want to pay it. I want to do this. But ultimately, I was looking for that sentence that says, I want to keep my house. And that sentence was there. And it said, I want to keep my house. And I was like, well, I pretty much have and he's already 12 months. He owes $6,000. So I paid $12,000 for it. He's already owes $6,000 just to catch up. And then he has to pay another just to get caught up. His monthly payments are $400. So he needs $6,000 just to catch up, then $400 a month, and he still owes $19,000 on the property. And I paid $12,000 for it. So I mean, it's still a good return. I'm trying to bring up the numbers here of what I had,
okay.
But it's still a solid return.
You know, what's nice about that, if you think about it, if she paid 12, what she's saying is that if he really wants to keep his house, he's going to have to come up with 6K. And that's going to be half of her investment. So when you talk about what she's going to have vested in this, and then she's going to get $400 a month, yeah, I think 30 is a conservative return on what she's telling you. But yeah, so it's all about working with the people and finding out what their intent is and seeing if he actually can. If not, then she knows how to take the house down properly.
And for the performing note, I think I paid around 80 cents on my last performing note, and that's giving a return of about 25%.
Guys, we're going to end it there because we're out of time. And Jasmine, I really want to thank you. You did 3 of these, And we love to see you come back. And you guys, your guests were amazing. Tanya was on twice. I know you had another guest, but she was amazing as well. Belinda, it was a joyful to see you here and very informative as well. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for again registering and coming on and seeing part 3 of Jasmine's, the NAP Nation. And again, we will give out all the information, all the videos, again, all 3 of them to her entire registers and all the attendees. And Jasmine will get that list and she will reach out to each one of you and to see if you have, because I know a lot of people were not able to come on board because we had canceled the last 3 and we came up with a brand new date. So we'll let everybody know about this webinar.
And we want to get Belinda's contact information before they leave.
I will send out everybody's, Tanya's and Belinda's, to everybody, including to you, Jasmine, so you can send it out to everybody as well. And we'll thank everybody for coming on board. So once again, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Belinda. Thank you,
Really
Tanya.
enjoyed it. Very nice.
Thank you, Jasmine.
Jazz. Thank you,
Bye-
Anthony.
Bye-bye, everybody.
See
Thank
you
you.
soon, Tanya.
Okay, talk to you soon.
All right.